Good evening, viewers, and welcome to this edition of NTV Sports Page. It's Monday, the 26th of August, and I'm Curtis Morton. In our headlines, India routs Windies, and in our feature for this evening, organizers for Sports Summit say thanks. We'll take this break, and I'll be right back.
It's here, the family of EC Polymer Notes, our new money.
Here's what you can do to ensure your EC Polymer notes remain clean and last longer. Dry wet notes with cloth or paper towel. Wipe soiled notes with a damp cloth. You can carry your notes in your wallet, purse, or pocket. However, avoid creasing, crumpling, or stapling your polymer note. If by accident your polymer note gets tumbled in the washing machine or dryer, you can take out the creases by smoothing the note with your hand. Do not iron your polymer note. New polymer notes may cling together. You can loosen them by tapping the notes against a hard surface or shuffling them.
EC Polymer Notes, our new money. Cleaner, safer, stronger.
Well, I'm back, and we start with cricket. If someone had been flown in from outer space and landed via helicopter at the Sir Vivian Richards Stadium in Antigua, they may well have thought that some sort of a wake was being held. After all, the men in the middle were mainly dressed in white, except for two wearing black trousers, and there was a particular group that seemed bent on going from the pavilion area to the middle and then returning to the pavilion in a hurry, as if they had forgotten something. Add to that the looks of horror on the faces of the home fans and the somber atmosphere, except of course for the obvious joy displayed by the other 11 men in white. It would not have taken long for someone to explain that the West Indies cricket team was in the process of yet another poor batting display at the international level, with the Indian team being their immediate antagonist. It was the final rites of the first test match between India and the West Indies. The home team showed some fight in the early half of the game, but India dominated in their second innings to be able to declare and set the Windies team a sizable target of 419 runs. Visions of May 13, 2003 were in the minds of optimistic fans, as they recalled that a West Indies team then overhauled an improbable target of 418 runs to defeat and Australia at the Antigua Recreation Grounds. However, they clearly forgot that that particular team had names such as Brian Lara, Shiv Chanderpaul, Ramnaresh Sawan, and Omari Banks. There was one bulky cricketer who may have been able to help in the cause, but he was already benched before the game started. His name, Rakeem Cornwall. He could only watch helplessly as stump after stump was sent flying as his teammates consistently played down the wrong line. The embarrassment could have been greater except for brave swashbuckling knocks by Kemar Roach and Miguel Cummins, who managed to get the total to around 100 before Roach perished. The summarized scores: India 297 all out, West Indies 222 all out, India 343 for 7 declared, Rahane 102, Vihari 93, Kohli 51, Ruston Chase 4 for 132. West Indies needing 419 for victory, 100 all out, Bumrah 5 for 7, Sharma 3 for 31, Shami 2 for 13. India winning by all of 319 runs. Sad story. Meanwhile, in a more exciting test match, Ben Stokes' nerveless, gifted superstar Stokes, a day that began full of possibility, flipped and flopped and flipped again on the balance of probability and ended with an air of impossibility as England kept the Ashes alive thanks to Stokes' match-winning century. His unbeaten 135 handed England the most unlikely of victories by 1 wicket in the third test match at Headingley, allowing them to level the series at 1-1. In one of the most thrilling finishes imaginable, since England's World Cup triumph last month, you guessed it, Stokes front and centre. He and Jack Leach stood up against the odds and steered their side to their highest successful run chase in Tests 2 days after they had been humbled for 67 in their first innings and were then set 359 to win. Numerous times Australia threatened to take the final wicket they needed for a victory that had seemed inevitable, only to fluff their lines repeatedly. Stokes was dropped on 116 when he sent the top edge off Pat Cummins toward third man, where Marcus Harris got his hands to it but couldn't hold on. Australia then wasted a review which would come back to haunt them when Cummins wrapped Leach on the pad and the DRS confirmed the ball had pitched well outside leg. When Stokes just cleared the man on the rope for a 6 off Nathan Lyon, the crowd went wild and England needed just 2 more to win. 2 balls later, Leach should have been run out after going for a non-existent single, but Lyon fumbled as he tried to gather the throw from backward point. Stokes should have been out LBW attempting a slug sweep the very next ball, which was pitching on middle and leg and shown by Hawkeye to be hitting the stumps. But with no reviews left, Australia could do nothing. Summary scores: England 67, Hazelwood 5 for 30, and 362 for 9. Stokes 135 not out, Root 77, Denley 50. Beat Australia 179, Labuschagne 74, 161. Archer 6 for 45 and 246. Labuschagne 80. Stokes 3 for 56. England winning by 1 wicket. And remember, when that last wicket was existent, they needed all of 70 plus runs. And Stokes made most of it with Leach only making 1. It was an improbable victory and a fantastic one for England. We go to break, and when I come back, we'll have our feature for this evening.
It only takes a few minutes for rising water to become a flood. Are you ready? Prepare your family and the community. Look for rapidly rising water. Act. Go to safety immediately. For more information, contact the Nevis Disaster Management Department.
Well, I'm back, and tonight we feature this item in general sports. Kelvin Bramble, whose brainchild it was to initiate and help execute the inaugural St. Kitts Nevis Sports Summit, faced the media last Friday along with one of the sponsors, Louisa Manners, and gave an update as regards the success of the summit and used the opportunity to say thank you. Let's take in this. The inaugural St. Kitts Nevis Sports Summit was held at the Brownhill Hardcourt in the Main recently, coordinated, planned, the brainchild of this man to my right, Kelvin Bramble. And one of the sponsors is here on my left, Louisa Manners. But first off, let's talk to the main man, the man behind the whole activity. Kelvin, tell us a little bit about the thought process. How did this Sports Summit come about in the beginning?
The Sports Summit is basically a development program where mostly it was more thought of as holistic development. So instead of trying to just focus on the kids with sports, we try to focus on education, trying to build the coaches, videographers, as well as physiotherapists here. So it was more to make it more of a holistic approach to development rather than just focusing on the sports aspect of it.
When I looked at it, right, if it was done at a local level, I would say, okay, it was a pretty cheap program. But you had top-notch coaches from out of Canada and different areas. It must have cost some money. How did you get that finance?
Finances was basically supported by SKN Sporting, as well as a few Canada-based organizations as well. True Champs and All In came in on board with helping to facilitate and fund the program. We also had fundings from local businesses and organizations such as Caribbean Foundations for Children, for Kids, which Michael Henville came on board majorly as well. We also got funding from various businesses and persons in Nevis, such as Lefco, who sponsors some of the kids, Bank of Nevis, Louisa came on board as well, Wilma's Diner, Black Hat. So yeah, we had a lot of support as well from the local and the private sector.
What about the NIA?
The NIA came on board as well, in terms of sponsoring the event, and it is the NIA initiative.
Okay.
So they were completely on board.
Louisa, how did it come about for you as a personal individual sponsor? What attracted you to SKN Sports Summit?
Actually, what attracted me, Kelvin and I were on 2020 Vision Radio, and he was promoting the program that was about to happen the following Monday, and he was saying that he needed some sponsors, and I thought, wow, this is a great idea. His vision was a great vision. The things that he wanted to do was great. As an athlete and coach, I was like, okay,
Very
I'm
much
on board.
You not only put your money where your mouth is, but you actually was at the program. How did you find it? I mean, from a teacher's perspective, you're a teacher by profession. How did you find that the program actually panned out?
I think the program worked really well. The first day, we talked a little bit about nutrition for the children. We talked about their nutrition and what they should be eating and what they should stay away from, especially first thing in the morning if they're coming out. The athletes were able to gain a lot of experience by professionals that came down from Canada, and they were able to focus, they were able to show leadership. They gained a lot of leadership from the guys that came down. And as a coach, that's something that you always want to see. You want to see your athletes being leaders and being focused and being able to be coachable athletes. You don't want to coach someone who's not coachable. And the guys that came down from Canada were able to work with the kids. Kelvin was always in there making sure that they were doing what they needed to do. It was an amazing program.
I forgot, I kept stressing on teacher, but I forgot that you're actually a coach as well. So it was right up your stream.
It really was.
So you truly enjoyed it as well.
I absolutely did.
So Kelvin, how did it work out? How did the guys from overseas, what was their reaction to the program? How did they say it went for them in terms of mixing and mingling and coaching the division children?
Honestly, they were very excited. They're very eager for next year as well. A lot of the things that they really liked was the enthusiasm of the kids. A lot of the kids were more standoffish at first and a little bit quiet, but throughout the week they started getting a lot more loud and outspoken. You saw a lot of leaders coming out of the program, and that's basically what they love about the program. They want to see the kids taking part. They want to see them building themselves in terms of becoming leaders in the community.
I saw a lot of on-the-court activity in terms of exercises and different skill sets. But you mentioned videography and other aspects. Did that aspect actually come to fruition? Did they have videography sessions and all that kind of stuff?
Actually, we didn't get the opportunity to get that done.
Okay.
But we had the physiotherapist there as well, who was there alongside with one or two physiotherapists, aspiring physiotherapists, and showing them the ropes, and helping them to understand a little bit about physiotherapy. The coaches were definitely trying to push all the coaches here to actually take charge instead of them doing most of the work. They were trying to push the coaches to actually take part in actually building the athletes, because we're here most of the time. We're here all year round. They're only here for that specific time in the year. So, yeah.
So I get the impression, well, more than an impression, you did say next year. So I get the impression then that it's going to be an annual event.
Yes, it's definitely an annual event.
And the NIA is on board with that.
Yes.
Okay. And coaches are on board with that.
Yes,
the
definitely.
Coaches.
And as we did this year as well, it was mainly for basketball, but we had the athletic testing for the football. Track and field, we didn't get to do the track and field because track and field is out of season. But next year we're trying to get coaches to come down for football as well as track and field. So we want to make it more of probably like a whole one month program.
Wow.
Where we have track and field, and then football, and then basketball.
Okay. And the sponsors are on board again for next year.
Definitely on board.
Definitely on board. So when you look at what would have been achieved, going back to school or going back to work for some of the participants, what would you say in a nutshell that they would have gained? A new skill set in terms of exercises, a new outlook on life generally. What would you say they gained during the program?
Honestly, looking at some of the kids that actually participate, you would say so many things. Friendship, leadership, a lot of the end game, the ability to understand what basketball is or the sport that they're playing.
Okay.
They understand the different infrastructures in sports. They understand that it's just not the athletics that's important in sports, but they know now that sports is more of a whole entire industry where you could be a videographer, a physiotherapist, a coach, a manager, administrator, lawyer. All of this you could get out of sports, and now that a lot of the kids understand this, some of the kids were coming to me. Few of them told me what they wanted to be before, so like policeman.
Change that now.
Yeah, governor. Like a lot of them changed that, and they see that the amount of opportunities that they could get in sports, not just by being an athlete, but by putting different avenues into the sports.
So in other words, Louisa, I think what the children would have learned is that if you don't make it as a player or an actual athlete on the world stage, you could make it as a physiotherapist, a videographer. I didn't even mention the lawyer aspect of it, a sports lawyer, whatever.
Right. I think the students definitely learned that. Not only did they learn that, they also learned that academics is a key role in, let's say you're not able to fulfill your sporting dream. You have to fall back on your academics.
That's
and that was also related to the student, to the athletes. And so even if you're not going to be an athlete, you can be a police officer and you can be an athlete. You can be a police officer and you could be a physiotherapist or a massagist. So they learned, I think the students were eager to learn, and I think they learned a lot. They, I'm pretty sure from the last, from our closeout, they appreciated what they had, and they appreciated the coaches. They definitely appreciated Coach Kelvin for bringing this in for them. And so next year, we're going to go bigger and better.
Yeah, and another important part of it as well is that we had Anastasia Paris, the librarian here. She actually assisted in doing the college prep part of it. So basically, the college prep was to help them understand what it takes to actually make it to college, or as an athlete or just as a regular student, to go through the process and understand the requirements and stuff.
One other thing before we close, that aspect about, I don't remember what you call it, but it's when they were kind of clocking the athletes and putting some timings. What do you call that process again?
Oh, the athletic testing. Performance
Athletic
testing.
test, yeah. How did that go first, and how does it match up with some of the top athletes in the world? Because I understand it was going on a website and so on and so forth.
Yes, it's going on a website, and Check My Athletics is actually currently working on putting a web page on their website for specifically for SKN Sports Summit. Some of the times that they did was not up to par, but that's something that we're definitely hoping. That's something that we were really trying to know, because now we know that where they are. Now is a lot better. Now it's on us to make sure that they get to where they need to be in terms of their performances and their performance testing and being able to perform with some of the top athletes.
Okay, as we close out, I know the guys had to be accommodated and fed and so on. Who helped with that aspect? That would have been a lot more money again.
As I said,
the sponsors.
Most of it was sponsored.
Okay.
A lot of it was personal finance as well.
Wow.
Throughout
Sacrifices.
Personal finance, food. Hamilton Beach Resort, they came on board and sponsoring the entire rooms for the coaches as well.
Good.
So that was really good. And Ministry also helped out with the lunches.
Great. As we conclude this wonderful interview, Louisa, your final words, maybe an appeal to other sponsors to get on board for next year, or whatever your final thoughts are.
I think moving forward, that as many sponsors as we possibly can get for next year would be greatly appreciated. I think that some of the children that were there, they need the sponsors because maybe those students were there that were able to, but there may be other children who weren't able to be there because they didn't have the sponsor, because it wasn't affordable to them. So I think that all the businessmen that are out there, even personal sponsors, if you're out there, help out, because this is keeping the young men and women. There was only one girl in that whole program, and she was amazing.
Hopefully next year
hopefully, like, you're going to keep your young men on the basketball court or on the track or on the soccer field, keeping them off of the streets and keeping them safe. So come aboard and sponsor an athlete. It will benefit the country of St. Kitts and Nevis, particularly Nevis because this is where it's happening. So come aboard and sponsor a child. It will be worth your while.
Okay, thank you so much, Louisa. Your final thoughts, Calvin?
Yeah. Also, one of the major things that we're really trying to push as well is to have some of the athletes be able to travel to Canada to participate in some of the programs that they have there as well. So sponsors to come on board will be very, very key on that.
Okay, stick a pin so that we could give the sponsors an idea. I know you'll be traveling shortly. How much a ticket to Canada would cost on an average? I'm trying to get a couple of sponsors here.
I'm not sure if it's the same as from there to here as to from here to there. I know it's about $800, 800 Canadian dollars to.
So you've heard. Any other final words?
Yeah, final was definitely thank you for all of the sponsors who came on board. Hamilton Beach for sponsoring the rooms, SKN Sporting, and I had Ministry of Sports. I would definitely like to thank the persons who came on board in sponsoring the athletes as well. Black Hat, Bank of Nevis, Lefco, Louisa as well. I would definitely like to thank the Caribbean Foundation for Kids, who majorly came on board in sponsoring the event as well.
Okay, well, thank you guys, and I think that the Nevisian community and the whole benefited, not just the participants, but we are looking for some long-term results because of your initiative, because of your finance and other assistance, Louisa, and so we want to thank you and the entire crew that made it a reality. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, thank you guys for a truly wonderful program. That's our package for this evening. I am Curtis Morton, reminding you that you can watch sports if you are not fit. But to play sports requires fitness, diligence, and sacrifice. Have a good night.